Okay, you guys got this? Okay. Isn't this cool? My eyes are burning. Okay, I love you guys. My eyes feel like I have just dust in them. They are burning too much screen time. Okay, look, I love you in Christ. Let me get the bear. The bear must get out. When I was in Grand Junction, I got a lot of super great hugs. It was really awesome. Grand Junction for me was so good. It was so nice to get to, meet people and connect in person. Guys, trust me. Lord saying he wants me on the radio.
See,
My daughter goes, look, in Amy's ice cream.
86.
I'm like,
Here.
what? We're on the highway. And my daughter goes, look, in Amy's ice cream. It was so random. I was like, what in the pipes up? And I'm driving the vehicle and I'm just south of Austin, Texas. And so my daughter goes, I get to pick the nanny, of course. That's totally like her, too. She wanted to, she's the alpha female, right? So the two boys are in the back. And I said, we're going to, I'll interview some people. We'll all decide, we'll interview some people and make sure they have all their credentials and blah, 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 blah. And so then right then my daughter who's sitting right here next to me, she's in the passenger seat in the front seat. My daughter, by the way, she does not eat ice cream. She's not an ice cream eater. Right when I say, well, Trey offered me this job, but we'll have to get a nanny, blah blah blah. I said, but I keep hearing the Lord say He wants me on the radio. So I'm giving you guys a testimony right now because I want you to hear this testimony at least before I dump all this scripture on you, so you guys understand just a little more my point of view. Okay, you'll go. Okay, so anyway, so right when I say the words, but I keep hearing the Lord saying He wants me on the radio. My daughter goes, look, in Amy's ice cream. I'm like, what? We're on the highway. And my daughter goes, look, in Amy's ice cream. It was so random. I was like, what in the world? Amy's ice cream? You don't even like ice cream. And she was looking all the way across like 6 lanes of highway, maybe 8 lanes right there. And there's a movie theater south of Austin, and there was an Amy's ice cream there. And my daughter just bird's eyes. I mean, just it's way, way, way off the highway. And it's a very specialty ice cream chain in Texas. They're very few and far between. Anyway, so when she said that, I was like, weird, you don't even like ice cream. And then the boys in the back, they go, hey, we want ice cream? And I'm like, oh, great, stop. Because I'm trying to drive them to meet my daughter and one of the boys in the back going to meet their mom. So she's not really
Those who have ears to
someone you want to
hear,
be take
let them
even
hear.
5 minutes late with, because then you'd have to listen to it. And so anyway, so I say no, 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 no. We got to get to Waco. I'm not gonna be 1 minute late. And oh, come on, come on, guys. And then out of nowhere, I say, you know what? You guys want some ice cream? I'll pull off and get you some ice cream. And I'm just south of Austin, Texas. And so my daughter goes, I get to pick the nanny, of course. That's totally like her, too. She wanted to, she's the alpha female, right? So the two boys are in the back. And I said, we're going to, I'll interview some people. We'll all decide, my daughter pipes up and I'm driving the vehicle and I'm just south of Austin, Texas. And so my daughter goes, I get to pick the nanny, of course. That's totally like her, too. She and I'm like, okay, what do you want? And so when we go over the highway, if anybody wants to get out Google Earth and look, it's you can even check it. So I get off on Slaughter Lane. I go over. There's like a Kentucky Fried Chicken. There's some Chinese place, and she says, Dad, can I have Johnny Carino's? Johnny Carino's is sit down Italian food where you go in. It's like a family Italian food chain. And I look at her and I go, dude, we're on a road trip. We got to get to Waco. And she just gives me the, please, Dad, I don't feel well. So I was like, oh, okay. And so I park in Johnny Carino's. I run in the door and I run up to the bar and I ask the bartenders, I say, hey, is there anything you have that's like really, really fast? And she goes, angel hair pasta. I'll never forget it. I'm like, okay. She goes, yeah, I'll have it out to you in less than 5 minutes. It's like a drive through. And I went, okay, great. So I pay her for it. Sure enough, she comes right out. And so I go jump in the car, I hand it to my daughter, and then I'm backing out. I go around the restaurant. I look to the right because I'm going to make a left. That way I intersect that access road. And when I look to the right, I'm staring right at Amy's ice cream. I pay her for it. Sure enough, she comes right out. And so I go jump in the car, I hand it to my daughter, and then I'm backing out. I go around the restaurant. I look to the right because I'm going to make a left. That way I intersect that access road. And when I look to the right, I'm staring right at Amy's ice cream. Go around the restaurant. I look to the right because I'm going to make a left. That way I intersect that access road. And when I look to the right, I'm staring right at Amy's ice cream. I'm like, what? It's supposed to be 5 miles south down the road. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, time warp. And I look to the right. I'm like, what the heck? There's an Amy's ice cream right there. And then right then in front of my children, I hear the Lord say, go to this Amy's ice cream, Jonathan. Go to this Amy's ice cream. I have a message for you. Okay, guys, I'm giving you a 100% truthful. This is a testimony. So I stand before the Lord God. Every word I'm telling you is correct. So anyway, I look to the right and there's the Amy's ice cream, and then I hear the Lord say, go to this Amy's ice cream. I say it out loud in front of my children. I'm like, weird. I hear the Lord saying, go to this Amy's ice cream. I have a message for you. And my kids, my two boys are in the back seat and my daughter, and they're going, doo 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 doo. Like, what is it? Twilight Zone, yeah. They're like doing like Twilight Zone music, kind of giggling because I'm saying, no, the Lord's telling me, go to this Amy's ice cream. I have a message for you. Now remember, when Kirsten said, look, in Amy's ice cream, I had just said the words, but I keep hearing the Lord saying, he wants me on the radio. Look, in Amy's ice cream. Okay, don't forget. So right here now, gone over the loop, sitting right there, looking right at it, telling my children, I hear the Lord telling me, go to this Amy's ice cream. He has a message for me. There my kids are in front of Amy's ice cream on that fateful day. And look what it says right there in the window, on air. So, my question is, I know I'm talking to two audiences, okay? One is Amy's ice cream. Okay, don't forget. So right here now, gone over the loop, sitting right there, looking right at it, telling my children, I hear the Lord telling me, go to this Amy's ice cream. He has a message for me. There my kids.
Is that the barcode lie? Kim, is that your barcode?
Are in front of Amy's ice cream on that fateful day. And look what it says right there in the window, on air. So, my question is, I know I'm talking to two audiences, okay? One is my friends, the people that love me and care about me, and then those that hate me. And, oh, Click, you're this. Oh my God, Click wears Under Armour. Oh, Click smokes pot. It's like, okay, did you just see Click wink the eye?
He's in too many the screens. His eyes are in the screen too much. Like you need to get that sunscreen.
Oh my God, Click wears Under Armour. Oh, Click smokes pot. It's like, okay, did you see Click wink the eye? I saw him. It's like they'll mischaracterize things. Anyway, so I know I have two audiences sometimes. Happen. Anyway, just thought food for thought. So anyway, so we walk up and I tell the boys, I'm like, okay, that's it. Get in front of the sign. I'm getting a picture because they were like, oh my gosh.
On air. What did Jacob Israel say? Air Kame. Christ comes. Air Kame.
There it is. Okay, now when we walked in, I heard the Lord say, turn around. Well, hang on. Let me slow down a sec. So we walk right in and we walk up to the counter and there's a girl behind the counter. And the first thing I do is I say, hey, I got a question for you. Is there another Amy's ice cream down further? And this girl goes, yeah, there is. Down by the theater. And she said, we leased it down there too to eliminate any competition in the area. I was like, yeah, because there's not very many Amy's ice creams. And she said, I know. We did that specifically to eliminate competition. And I went, oh, well, let me ask you a question. Does that one down there have like a sign in the window that says open? And she goes, yeah. And I go, does it say on air? And she said, oh, no. It just further that. And this girl goes, yeah, there is. Down. Well, hang on. Let me slow down.
Yeah, hold on.
So we walk right in and we walk up to the counter and there's a girl behind the counter. And the first thing I do is I say, hey, I got a question for you. Is there another Amy's ice cream down further that? And this girl goes, yeah, there is. Down by the theater. And she said, we leased it down there too to eliminate any competition in the area. I was like, yeah, because there's not very many Amy's ice creams. And she said, I know. We did that specifically to eliminate competition. And I went, oh, well, let me ask you a question. Does that one down there have like a sign in the window that says open? And she goes, yeah. And I go, does it say on air? And she said, oh, no. It just says open. Go to this Amy's ice cream. I have a message for you. He was letting me know to pass up the job. Go on the radio, do what he said, trust him. And I did. So anyway, here's kind of another interesting part of it. So the boys order their ice cream. And I hear the Lord say, turn around and look. And I turn around and I look and I'm like, that's freaking, it's an invasion. And back then I was like, that's very odd. Let me show you what was on the counter. Look at this. What an utter disaster. Cow tipping. So cow tipping is this ridiculous thing that I don't know what state you're in, but in Texas, it's
sinfulness.
But would there be two Amy's ice creams? Why is it ice cream?
and they'll get someone drunk to run and try and push over a cow that's standing up. Well, that doesn't go so well a lot of times. Anyway, so that's what cow tipping is. It's for people that are drunk and think that cows sleep standing up, and it's a way to set up somebody you don't really like that much, I guess. Anyway, so it says, look, cow tipping, and this was their tip jar. Look, but
Cow tipping, love, cow tipping. Cow tipping, love. Cow tipping, love. utter disaster. It looks like somebody back there, and then they have their shades on.
Me doing what I do. On another note like that.
Like a second one. Second. Two concurrent 1 year sentences. So that's like for two people.
I told you guys I got sentenced to 2 years in prison when my family lied. My mom lied in court.
None of y'all might not know what I'm talking about at all.
Here's the point. So God looks on the human heart. He looks on the heart. He looks at your heart, your willingness. Look at David. Look at David. David walked out to fight a freaking giant. Okay, can you imagine being a kid with a slingshot against? Have y'all ever read the account of his armor, Goliath's armor? It was like 300 pounds. Yeah. So anyway, but God looks on your heart, guys, and He looks at your willingness to serve Him even when it looks scary. I've had so many death threats, you guys would freak out. I've had some situations where if I didn't have a past, it probably would not have gone so well. So I can give you an image of something. Oh, here's a good one. I can just show you right here. What an utter disaster. Look, see the letter U? Because that's you and your right side up cross and an upside down cross. Okay, so see,
it's gonna be
that right
the downfall.
Same. AI is definitely. I mean, look, Elon Musk said it's our single greatest risk. We have Robin's Hood showed up. Robin, you're. Oh, you got headset. Great, because I heard some echo before. Good to see Robin.
I'll mute myself.
All righty, Robin. What are your thoughts?
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Okay.
I can show you that that's a biblical thing, and
46 years.
right there, I can show you that that's a biblical thing, and
46.
I can show you that that's a biblical thing.
Like a lamb led to the slaughter, and like a sheep silent before shears. He did not open his mouth. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he didn't open his mouth. Like a lamb that is led to the slaughter, as a sheep that before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth.
Some echo before. Good to see Robin.
I'll mute myself.
All righty, Robin, what are your thoughts?
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Okay. So let me add Deborah to the stream. Deborah,
Hey.
what are your thoughts on this?
I have a different. I know what you're saying. I have a different perspective than other people because I was actually very heavily involved in Second Life for 10 or 11 years. And I was both asleep and awake.
Yeah.
So, I have, I know what you're saying. I have a different perspective than other people because I was actually very heavily involved in Second Life for 10.
Where you at, Rob? They're laughing at you.
10 or 11 years. And I was both asleep and awake.
That is like, ah man, look at Rob. He's half asleep, half awake. You don't even know, but you don't even know better.
So,
Whatever.
I know
So, Robin, just hang
exactly
in there,
what
buddy.
you're saying.
How immersed you got into that. And I did that for years. So because I was building Quake, I really, really liked the first person shooter perspective.
Yeah.
And things and shoot stuff. And, you know, and this is why I can relate. And this is back in 2000 when I believe it was a first person shooter. It wasn't Call of Duty. It was called Medal of Honor, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Medal of Honor, if you remember Medal of Honor.
That's in Isaiah 29, 15, and 16 that you see that. That's also in Matthew 16 as well. But woe unto them that seek deep to hide, to hide, conceal themselves, hide their counsel from the Lord self-existent, eternal Jehovah. And their works are in the dark, and they say, look, you know what, let me enlarge this for you guys. I'm sorry. I should have do this always. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's get back down there. So woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us? Who knoweth us? And then it's
who knows what's going on? Who knows?
It says, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. I'm going to click on potters, Yatsar. So
I always wondered this. Why was Elijah afraid of Jezebel? Elijah had just had a mountaintop experience in defeating the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel. Fire had descended from heaven. The people of Israel acknowledged the Lord, and the false prophets were all put to death. But that experience was followed by an episode of fear and failure in Elijah's life. The prophet was afraid and ran for his life from the queen Jezebel. The reason is made clear in 1 Kings. Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done and how he had killed the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah saying, so may the gods do to me and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by this time tomorrow. You know how they lived? If I don't make your life the way that they all lived this time tomorrow because of you, this death threat caused Elijah to flee a day's journey into the wilderness. At one point, at one point, Elijah was so discouraged that he desired to die. And he asked that he might die, saying, it is enough now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am no better than my fathers. In response, the Lord sent an angel to bring the prophet food and drink. So food and drink both before the sleep and after. So before he went to sleep and then right after, the food and drink is the knowledge of, well, basically, if you go all the way down to the end, that thousands of others had never bowed to Baal. That's the food and drink before, and then after the rest and nourishment, Elijah took a 40-day journey to Mount Horeb to meet with the Lord. There the Lord asked Elijah why he had fled to such a remote location. Elijah's answer is telling. The Israelites have rejected your covenant, torn down your altars, and put your prophets to death with the sword. I am the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me. Elijah saw himself as the lone defender of God's name in Israel. Jezebel seemed to be winning the fight, and Elijah had fled. During his conversation with God at Horeb, the Lord gave Elijah 3 important tasks. First, Elijah was to anoint Hazael as king. So Hazael, it's kind of like Emmanuel, God is with us. He Hazael. God is with us. He Hazael as king over Syria. All right, so Hazael is king. Now, second, he was to anoint Jehu as king of Israel. Jehu. Well, whoever J is, you're the king. Third, he was to anoint Elisha as the prophet to take his place. So as one person, you look at it as one person, 2 people. One person, that spirit comes, then to anoint that next spirit in the same prophet to take his place. These leaders, and then you look at it as 2 separate individuals, and then Elijah takes his place. These leaders, either way, whoever these 3 leaders are, would help turn away Peter, John, and James. Wouldn't it be the first 3? Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. These leaders would help turn Israel away from the evil of idol worship and would facilitate the total destruction of the wicked line of Ahab and Jezebel. And the one who escapes from the sword of Hazael shall Jehu put to death, and the one who escapes from the sword of Jehu, Elisha, will put him to death. Elijah had dealt a death blow to Baal worship, but that's probably because even back in the day, I'm sure they had technology and they were able to do the same thing, or in the other worlds. And these 3 men, Elijah would anoint, would remove the remaining vestiges of that particular form of idolatry. In addition, God offered one important word of comfort to Elijah. During this time when the prophet felt so alone, God said, "Yet I will leave 7,000 in Israel, and the knees that have not bowed down, and every mouth that has not kissed him," like even kissing your ass. Elijah had thought he was the only one faithful to the Lord, and he took great comfort in the knowledge that thousands of others had never bowed to Baal either, and they're perfectly fine.
That's the nose right there. That's the tongue right there. That's the ear right there. It's a yes or no answer. Does that look like a sheep?
Okay, yeah, so upside down queen would be something like that. Look, Satan got a match. I can't. 9:03 a.m. December 3rd, 2020. Like that. See that? This is off topic. I'm just scrolling through. So this is my mom, sister Dawn, sister Barb, brother Mike, brother Billy, and so I didn't exist at this moment. I was born June 28th, 1976. I wasn't even conceived. My mom wasn't even pregnant. I wasn't even thought of until about 6 months later, somewhere around, what would it be, in September, around that time. There I am. I appeared then. That's probably in 70, maybe 77, and 76. And so my sisters used to dress me up in dresses like a girl. They used to dress me up in dresses. They thought I was going to be a girl. They were going to call me Pearl. And my brother's curly noodle head, like a Superman. Does say can't even make this stuff up.
Right here. I'm drawing my circle around here. So does that look like a sheep if that's the eye right here? That's the nose right there. That's the tongue right there. That's the ear right there. It's a yes or no answer. Does that look like a sheep? And so now if I just slide it over and I just kind of trade this one for this one, I'll put this one on top. You can see there's a sheep right there, right? Okay, so what I did was I turned the queen over upside down in the hieroglyph so you could see who it was. So here's the queen, and it.
All right, so let's get back to Jezebel was known for her religious zeal. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, also how he had executed all the prophets with the sword, so that plan was executed. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah saying, "So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of the one of them by tomorrow about this time."
So what I did was I turned the queen over upside down in the hieroglyph so you could see who it was. So here's the queen, and it's really a dead sheep. Okay, so this, I mean, just to understand this, I don't know if you guys know what you're looking at. I'm decrypting. Think about what I'm doing right now. I'm literally decrypting a hieroglyph. Do you know that Egyptologists for hundreds and hundreds of years have tried to figure this stuff out and can't? Do you know I'm doing it right in front of you with using a spiritual gift? A supernatural spiritual gift right in front of you right now is showing you what's in something that you can't find on, the Discovery Channel, or you can't find in, is it possible? What is it? Ancient aliens. Yeah. So anyway,
so you got Jezebel and then Bellshazar's. It's like JezeBellshazar's male or female male impious feast. Belshazzar the king held a great feast for 1,000 of his nobles, lords, and he was drinking wine in the presence of the 1,000. When Belshazzar tasted the wine, he gave orders to bring the gold and the silver which Nebuchadnezzar his father had taken out of the temple, which was in Jerusalem, so that the king and his nobles and his wives and his concubines, they might drink from them. Then they brought the gold vessels that had been taken out of the temple, the house of God, which was in Jerusalem, and the king and his nobles, his wives and concubines drank from them. They drank the wine and praised the gods of gold and silver and bronze, iron, wood, and stone, to the handwritings on the wall. Suddenly the fingers of a man's hand emerged and began writing opposite the lampstand on the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the back of the hand that did the writing. Then the king's face grew pale, and his thoughts alarmed him, and his hip joints went slack, and his knees began knocking together. So his joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote one another. The king called aloud to bring in the conjurers, the Chaldeans, and the diviners. The king spoke and said to the wise men of Babylon, "Any man who can read this inscription and explain its interpretation to me shall be clothed with purple, have a necklace of gold around his neck, and have authority as the third ruler in the kingdom."
He just puts on his glasses. Now, why did he do that? All right.
The light out of the darkness. Come out of the darkness to the light with flat eyewear. That was Johnny's Sunglass Company.
About to see it right now. Okay. The demon is losing control of the robotoid, and it's panicking. Okay. It's trying to talk, trying to act normal, but it's panicking.
I thought
to do. Then all of a sudden, this happens. What the fuck is this shit? See how this bitch is locked up? See? Now, mind you, he's still driving, okay? He's still driving, so it hasn't lost control of the hand movements.
Or promises. The true story. Yeah.
Stay the fuck away from this channel, man. Because he's nothing but a demon.
The barcode.
Animating a robot, and
Kim, is that your barcode?
And he's got nothing good to say, man. All he talks about is
the end of the world.
Vampires come out of the darkness into the light with flat eyewear. That's why I'm always falling upside down. With out of the darkness into the light with flat eyewear. That's why I'm always falling upside down. With fangs on. Yeah, surrounded by a bunch of girls with fangs on. I mean.
Then all the king's wise men came in, but they could not read the inscription or make known its interpretation to the king. Then King Belshazzar was greatly alarmed. His face grew even pale, and his nobles were perplexed. Changed in him his countenance, and his lords were stoned, bewildered, baffled. The queen entered the banquet hall because of the words of the king and his nobles. The queen spoke and said, "King, live forever. Do not let your thoughts alarm you, or your face be pale." So the queen came in to the king. "There is a man in your kingdom in whom is a spirit of the holy gods, and in the days of your father, illumination, insight, and wisdom like the wisdom of the gods were found in him. And King Nebuchadnezzar, your father the king, anointed him chief of the magicians, conjurers, Chaldeans, and diviners. This was because an extraordinary spirit and knowledge and understanding and insight and interpretation of dreams, explaining enigmas and showing of hard sentences and solving difficult problems and doubts were found in this Daniel, whom the king Belshazzar, whom the king named Belteshazzar, like a belt. Let Daniel now be summoned, and he will declare the interpretation." Daniel interprets the handwriting. Then Daniel was brought in before the king and spoke to the king, "Are you that Daniel in who is one of the children, the exiles of Judah, of the captivity of Judah, who the king my father brought into Judah Jewry? Now I've heard about you that a spirit of the gods is in you, and that illumination, insight, and extraordinary wisdom has been found in you. Just now the wise men and the conjurers, the astrologers, and the astrologers have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing, and make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But they could not show the king the interpretation of the thing, the message, the matter. They couldn't explain it. But I personally have heard about you, and you are able to give interpretations and solve difficult problems. Now, if you are able to read the inscription and make its interpretation known to me, you will be clothed with purple, and wear a necklace of gold around your neck.
All he's gonna do is just gonna deceive you.
He's just gonna lead you.
And shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, keep your gifts to yourself, or give your rewards to somebody else. Yet I will read the inscription to the king and make the interpretation known to him. So Daniel is saying to the king, keep your gifts and give your rewards to someone else.
He goes, yeah. And I go, does it say on air? And she said, oh, no. It just says open. Go to this Amy's Ice Cream. I have a message for you. He was letting me know to pass up the job, go on the radio, do what he said, trust him.
O King, the Most High God, granted sovereignty, grandeur, glory, and majesty to Nebuchadnezzar your father, because the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, languages, they trembled and feared before him. Whom he would slew, he would. Whom he would keep alive, he did. And whom he would set up, and whom he would put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his spirit became so proud that he behaved arrogantly, he was disposed from his royal throne, and his glory was taken from him. He was also driven out from mankind, and his heart was made like that of the beast, and his dwelling place was with the wild donkeys. He was given grass to eat like cattle, and his body was drenched with the dew of heaven, until he recognized the Most God as ruler over the realm of mankind, and that he sets over it whom he wishes. Because one person is, I think Nebuchadnezzar had a lot of tests going on in his day, and he was overwhelmed with the work that was going on. And then yet you, his son Belshazzar, there's a predecessor to someone that is above you, then you're like the son, and he's like the father, the creator or something. Yet you, his son Belshazzar, have not humbled your heart, even though you knew all this. But you have exalted yourself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before you. You and your nobles and your wives and your concubines have been drinking wine from them, and you have praised the God of silver and gold and wood and stone, which do not see, they don't hear or understand, but the God in heaven, in whose hand and your life, the breath in your ways, you have not glorified. Then the hand was sent from him, and this inscription was written out. Now this is the inscription that was written out. Mene, mene, tekel, uphar, sin. This is the interpretation of the message. Meaning, God has numbered your kingdom. So numbering it is giving it a timeline. Like it's over. Like let's say he says, your kingdom's over by the new year. It's finished. So anything from that point, your kingdom has been divided. So 7,000 men have not bowed their knee to you, JezeBellshazar, over the Medes and Persian. Then Belshazzar gave orders, and they clothed Daniel with purple and put a necklace of gold around his neck, and issued a proclamation concerning him that now he had authority as the third ruler in the kingdom. Now he was second in charge with King Nebuchadnezzar, but he was pronounced as the third ruler in the kingdom. That same night, Belshazzar, the Chaldean king, was slain. So Darius the Mede received the kingdom at about the age of 62. Belshazzar being slain that night, turning into Darius, is one way of looking at the interpretation. It's the same person. It's just a different reign type of a rulership. Went from Belshazzar to now Darius. So because that took place, then, which means that already took place, is the past tense, because Darius the Mede received the kingdom at about the age of 62. The Messiah was cut off at the age of 62, or at 62 weeks. It seemed good to Darius to appoint 120 satraps over the kingdom, that they would be in charge of the whole kingdom, and over them 3 commissioners, of whom Daniel was first. So this is the first. Daniel was the first one, and these satraps might be accounted to put them, and the king might not suffer loss. Then this Daniel began to distinguish himself among the commissioners and satraps and princes, presidences, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm, the entire kingdom. Then the presidences, the satraps, princes, they sought to find occasion against Daniel in regard to government affairs concerning the kingdom, but they could not find occasion nor fault for us so much. He was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him, and no negligence or corruption was to be found in him. Then these men said, "We will not find any ground of accusations against Daniel, unless we find it against him with regard to the laws of his God." Then these commissioners and satraps and presidences and princes, they assembled together to the king, and what they said to the king was, "O Darius, live forever." All the commissioners, the presidences, the governors, the princes, and the counselors and the captains, they all consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that anyone who would make a petition to any god or man besides you, O king, for 30 days shall be cast into the lion's den. Now, O king, establish the injunction and sign the document so that it may not be changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which may not be revoked. I'm walking around with all these lions, and I'm standing, and there's no ground underneath of me. And therefore, King Darius signed a document that is the decree. Daniel is in the lion's den. Now, when Daniel knew that the document was signed, he entered his house. Now, in his roof, the chamber, he had windows open up towards Jerusalem. So he's communicated, and he continued kneeling on his knees 3 times a day, praying and giving thanks before his God, as he had been doing previously. Then these men came by agreement and found Daniel making petition and supplications before his God. Then they approached and spoke before the king about the what concerning the king's decree, and they said, "Did you not sign a decree that any man who makes a petition to any god, besides you, O king, for 30 days is to be cast into the lion's den?" The king replied, "The statement is true according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which may not be revoked." Then they answered and spoke before the king. They said, "Daniel, who is one of the exiles of Judah, pays no attention to you, O king, or to the injunction which you signed, but keeps making his petition 3 times a day." So these lions getting ready to attack me. So I told him that it's getting me prepared to be attacked by the lions.
Mm-hmm.
Then, as soon as the king heard the statement, he was deeply distressed, displeased with himself. He was determined to rescue Daniel. He set his mind to deliver Daniel. He set his mind on delivering Daniel, delivering him, rescuing Daniel, and made every effort until sundown to deliver him. Then these men came by agreement to the king and said, "O king, recognize, O king, that it is a law of the Medes and Persians that no injunction or decree nor statute which the king established may recognize that it is the law, injunction, or statute which the king establishes may be changed." Then the king gave orders, and Daniel was brought in and cast into the lion's den.
Well, that's amazing. I know we have a little bit of delay, but we heard you. So the amazing part about that is what you're, yeah, you're going to start to learn exactly what's going on if you start monkeying around with that and what those are.
Then the king spoke and said to Daniel, "Your God, whom you constantly serve, will himself deliver you." And a stone was brought, laid over the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and with the signet rings of his nobles, so that nothing would be changed in regard to Daniel. Then the king went off to his palace and spent the night fasting, and no entertainment was brought before him, and his sleep fled from him. So this wasn't about being entertained, folks. Then the king arose at dawn, at the break of day, and went in haste to the lion's den. When he had come near to the den to Daniel, when he had come near, he cried with a loud voice, a troubled voice. The king spoke and said to Daniel, "Servant of the living God, has your God, whom you constantly serve, been able to deliver you from the lions?" Then Daniel spoke to the king, "O king, live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the lions' mouths, and they have not harmed me, in so as much as I was found innocent before him, and also toward you, O king, I haven't committed any crime towards you." Then the king was very pleased and gave orders for Daniel to be taken up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no injury whatsoever was found on him at all, because he had trusted in his God. The king's decree. The king then gave orders, and they brought those men who had maliciously accused Daniel, and they cast them their children and their wives into the lion's den, and they had not reached the bottom of the den before the lions overpowered them and crushed all of their bones. Then Darius the king wrote to all the peoples, nations, and men of every language who were living in all the land, may your peace abound. I make the decree that in all the dominion of my kingdom, men are to fear and tremble before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God and enduring forever, and his kingdom is one which will not be destroyed, and his dominion will be forever. He delivers and rescues and performs signs and wonders, and miracles, signs and wonders in the heavens to deceive those that dwell upon the earth, because of the deception and the lies that they believe. In heaven and on earth, who has also delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel, he enjoyed success in the reign of Darius, in the reign of Cyrus the Persian.
So I know Robin is on major delays, and Robin, next time, please, if you get a headset, I would love to hear from you because I know you have lots to say. Robin has some great videos.
This Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. He enjoyed success in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian.
Congratulations, Darius.
Back up. Thanks, brother. He said,